So after I just announced how, what are people gonna think whenever they find out that that all fraudulent Michael Foot, raped an 11-month-old in the ass anally and killed the baby, and raped this 84-year-old woman anally, stole $40 out of her purse, and snatched the phone out of the wall and left. And I just announced how in my room, like talking like this in a regular voice, not would only spy where they could hear me, right? Pretty much testing them at the same time too. And then so as soon as I said, well, that's what I'm about to do right now. And as soon as I picked up my tablet, Alice Reese goes and slams the door to the bathroom. So I just wanted to document that.
State v. Holmes. Annotate this case: the State of South Carolina in the Supreme Court. The State Respondent v. Bobby Lee Holmes, Appellant. Appeal from York County. John C. Hayes, 3, Circuit Court Judge. Opinion number 25886, heard February 19, 2004, filed November 1, 2004. Justice Moore, appellant, was convicted 1 of murder, first-degree burglary, first-degree criminal sexual conduct, CSC, and robbery. He received a death sentence for the murder, the jury having found 3 statutory aggravating circumstances, 2, and received 3 concurrent sentences for the other offenses. 3. Appellant alleges errors occurred in both the guilt phase and the sentencing phase of his trial. We affirm appellant's convictions and sentences. Facts: at approximately 6:15 a.m. on December 31, 1989, the 86-year-old victim opened her door in response to someone's knocking. A black male forced his way into her apartment, beat her about the chest and head, and demanded money. The man forced the victim into her bedroom, where he ripped off her nightgown and anally raped her. He took $40 from her purse and left the apartment after ripping the living room phone from the wall. At 7:45 a.m., the victim's friend, Mrs. Thrasher, phoned to check on the victim. After 6 or 7 rings, the victim answered and told Mrs. Thrasher she had been beaten, anally raped, and robbed. Mrs. Thrasher called another friend, Mrs. Byers, who had an automobile and a key to the victim's apartment. Mrs. Byers went to the apartment, noticed it was messy, spoke with the victim, who told her the assailant was big and dark, and then drove to the police department since the living room phone had been pulled off the wall. 4. The first officer on the scene was Dale Edwards. The victim told him that around 6 or 6:30 a.m. she heard knocking at her front door, and that when she opened the door, a black male forced his way in. She had taken a shower before the police arrived. Officer Edwards removed the sheets and pillowcase from the bed for use as evidence, and placed the items in a paper grocery bag taken from the victim's kitchen. Lieutenant Barnett arrived and assisted in the evidence collection. A pink nightgown, a house coat, and a rag were removed from the bathroom and placed in another grocery bag. The victim gave Officer Edwards a pink paper towel with blood on it that he placed in a manila envelope brought to the scene by Captain Mobley, the third officer on the scene. While the 3 police officers were there, 2 paramedics arrived to transport the victim to a local hospital emergency room. Blood samples were taken, but a rape kit was not processed because the victim was complaining of hip pain and medical personnel were awaiting x-rays before performing the exam. The blood testing kit used to take samples from the victim had expired several months earlier. 5. Before the victim's mental state began to deteriorate, she described her attacker to an emergency room nurse as a black male in his late 20s.